Hi, my name is Katie Nanny, and I will be conducting a data overview for Soap Creek Elementary. Soap Creek is an elementary school located within Cobb County in Marietta, Georgia. So first, let's talk about the purpose of this data overview. The first thing that we'll talk about is we'll provide you a picture of the school's demographics. Next, we'll showcase the end of grade data for grades 3 through 5. Then we'll analyze trends within the data. Last, I'll provide observations and inferences of the data selected. So let's take a look at the demographic data that makes up Soap Creek Elementary. Soap Creek is a rather large elementary school. It has well over 1,000 students from 2016 to 2019, mostly within the 1,200 range. You can see that it does jump up a bit in 2017 to 2018, but goes back down in 2018 to 2019, all within 1,200 students. So within those 1,200 students, let's take a look at the absences and see if we notice any problems within students. So let's take a look at the absences and see if we notice any trends that might seem concerning. So automatically, the first thing that I notice here is that for chronic absenteeism or more than 15 days of absences, we notice that that percentage is fairly small. Once we get to 6 to 15 days of absenteeism, I notice that it jumps up quite a bit to nearly 30% in the last year of 2018 to 2019. So this is an area that I think that I would want to take a closer look at to determine of those absences, are they excused absences, are they unexcused absences, and then that would play a factor into my next steps of looking into the root of the absenteeism. A majority of the students fall within those 5 or fewer days of being absent, and that is pretty typical for the standard school year, just between being sick and appointments and other things of that nature that fall within the school year. Next, let's dig a little bit deeper into the subcategories of our enrollment. This chart shows limited English proficient students. So we have a fairly small percentage of students within our population. From 2016 to 2019, that percentage did drop a little bit from 9 to about 7%. So that's a fairly small percentage of students that makes up our entire population. Next, let's take a look at the number of students eligible for free and reduced meals. Again, that's another small population. We have ranging from 7 to about 5%. So this too decreased from 2016 to 2019. And then last but not least, let's take a look at the students with disabilities. So this isn't as consistent of data as the other two categories have been. We started with 9% in 2016, took a dip down, still within that 9% range in 2017, but then went back up to 9.3. So it looks like a big jump, but honestly, it's still all within that 9% range, so it's still staying fairly consistent. Okay, now that we've looked at our demographics, let's take a look at the achievement data. The first thing that we'll look at is the CCRPI data. And according to the Georgia Department of Education, the College and Career Ready Performance Index, CCRPI, is Georgia's annual tool for measuring how well its schools, districts, and the state itself are preparing students for the next education level. So when we look, the state of Georgia CCRPI score has an upward trend from 2016 to 2019. So starting out at 72 and then making an increase to about 80. So we have about an 8% increase from 2016 to 2019. Next, let's look at Cobb County as we get a little bit closer to home here. Again, we notice an upward trend. We have 2016 to 2017 around that 80% mark. Takes a little bit of a drop in 2017 to 2018, And then we go back up in 2018 to 2019 to about 85%. And then as we drill down a little bit closer to home, we see that we are within a higher range here. So 2016 to 2017, that score was actually 100.3. We took a little bit of a drop in 2017 to 2018, and that's at 92%, and then went back up. So Soap Creek scores were fairly consistent with Cobb counties, and that we took a dip in 2017, 2018, but then had a slight increase the following year. This chart shows us the comparison of the state of Georgia, the county, and then down to Soap Creek Elementary. So you can see here that they're all pretty close. There wasn't much adjustments from year to year, although we do see that Soap Creek scores are above both the Cobb County and the state of Georgia. So if we drill down even further and take a look at the subject areas, we have beginning learners, developing learners, proficient learners, and distinguished learners. So again, right off the bat, if we look here, we see that we have a very small percentage of students in that beginning learners range. Then majority of our learners are within the proficient and distinguished learners. So sometimes when you have data that looks like this, it's often easy to take a quick glance at it and say, wow, most of our learners are within proficient or distinguished learners. But as you take a closer look here, I do notice that this darker green here, which represents social studies, seems to have a higher percentage in developing and beginning learners. So that's where I took a look at to dig a little bit deeper into that information. So here is just a look at social studies over those 3 years. The beginning, developing, proficient, and distinguished. Still, just taking a look at this, it doesn't look too concerning other than those developing learners are still pretty high compared to the other subject areas. So I presented it in a graph that's going to show us a little bit more information of why maybe this is an area that we need to take a closer look at and figure out why there is a higher percentage in those lower ranges. So we have 2016 to 2017, 26% of learners are within either beginning or developing. 2017 to 2018, there's 28% that are within, again, beginning or developing. Then last, we have 30% for this last year of 2018 to 2019. So as you can see, the proficient and distinguished goes from 73.7, which we could round that up to 74, and then drops down to 70%. Whereas the beginning and developing, we started at 26% and that's gone up to 30. Now, while that may not seem like a huge area of concern, it is concerning that proficient and distinguished is continuing to go down, while beginning and developing is continuing to go up. So my observations are, for all of the data, is that Soap Creek's end of grade data presents that each subject area has at least 70% of learners scoring in the proficient and distinguished learner categories. In social studies, the data trend for proficient and distinguished learners is trending down, while the data trend for beginning and developing learners is trending up. Only 4th and 5th grade students are assessed in social studies on the Georgia milestones. So with those observations, I'd like to make some inferences. A new social studies curriculum and new Georgia Standards of Excellence were introduced in 2017 to 2018. Teachers and students are both learning the new standards and curriculum. This could be why we noticed both in the Cobb County as well as Soap Creek, we noticed a dip down in 2017 to 2018. In 2018, Soap Creek began a new integration model in the process of earning the STEM certification from Georgia DOE. As teachers and as a school, as you learn a new model of instruction, sometimes that can take some trial and error and you will notice a dip in scores. And then last but not least, another inference that I have is that a lot of RTI interventions are around the concepts of math and reading. And so while those interventions are really robust and strong to ensuring that we're making gains in those areas, it might be time to really start looking at other areas such as science and social studies of where we can close some gaps for those students. So this completes the data overview for Soap Creek Elementary. Thank you for your time.